So the Dallas Cowboys have now officially hired their new defensive coordinator and former Falcons coach, Dan Quinn. Now, I know many of you guys out there are asking yourself, why in the hell did we go after a guy like him, especially when his defenses haven't been good in the most recent form of memory? Well, we'll talk about that, and more importantly, we'll talk about overall why I think this is going to be a good hire overall. So before we get into that, if you guys could, please make sure to drop a like on this video, as well as subscribe if you're new to receive more Cowboys content, and most importantly, hit that notification bell, because by doing that, you'll be notified when I go live or post new content. So getting back to the topic at hand, Dan Quinn, new defensive coordinator for the Dallas Cowboys. Do I think it's a good hire? Yes, I do think that this is a good hire when it's all said and done. I know you might be saying, Space, you're just saying that because Mike Nolan was so bad, you just want to find anyone else to replace him. Well, here's my thing. When I look at how Dan Quinn has operated when he's been in this league, he has a pretty good resume. When you look at how things have gone and how the Cowboys have really done this interview process, at first it looked like McCarthy was going to hire his homeboys to come on in and just basically try to, give them a position because they're friends, and I don't remember their names off the top of my head right now, but I will tell you that if they had hired one of those guys for defensive coordinator, I would have been extremely irritated. But I do like that they went outside the box and they went and they got someone that I wasn't even thinking of, that I would not have expected the Cowboys to go after. Now, when I look at Dan Quinn's resume as a defensive coordinator, as he was the defensive coordinator for 2013-2014 with Seattle before he ended up getting hired by Atlanta. And as I look at Dan Quinn's resume in Seattle, you can see why he got hired initially. And that was because you look at what he did defensively, and he made that defense pretty good, or rather he took the credit for it, because you look at how well they did. They were number one in yards allowed, points in both those years in 2013 and 2014. Obviously, 2013 is that legendary Seattle Seahawks Legion of Boom season where they won the Super Bowl. And then 2014 is when they returned to the Super Bowl and their defense had another stellar year. Now, when Quinn got hired by Atlanta, of course, his defenses were not going to be on the same level of those Seattle teams that he was a part of, but he did build a pretty good secondary to start things out in Atlanta. In 2015, he had the 16th best defense for yards and 14th for points, 25th and 27th for yards and points in 2016. And in 2017, he had the 9th and 8th for yards and points. Now, you might be saying to yourself, that's kind of weird, that 2016 year, because that's when Atlanta went to the Super Bowl. And what's weird also is that when I go back and I look at some of those old highlights from previous years when I'm just bored, when I would see those Atlanta Falcons games, the defense really didn't look as bad statistically as it, would say on a stat sheet. Especially in the playoffs, they went on a good enough run, and also they were playing opportunistic defense to where that really didn't matter. Now, I'm not trying to excuse that kind of ranking, but again, when you make the Super Bowl that year, I don't think people are going to care. Now, from 2018 to 2020, this is where things get really interesting, because the way I look at it is in those years, Atlanta had injuries that decimated that secondary. I remember, I think in 2018, they lost like 2 or 3 key starters on defense, and of course the defense suffered from that. And in that period of time, it wasn't until 2020 where they really just flew off the rails in terms of yards allowed, points. Well, the points never got as bad as 27th in 2016, which is weird. But overall, the way I look at it is that Dan Quinn, when you give him the personnel, it's a pretty good defense, And again, I want to say this, and I'm going to say this over and over again throughout the offseason. I'm not looking for the guy to get us that type of Seattle Seahawks type of defense. I mean, I would like that, but all I'm looking for is something that can get us better than 32nd. If you can even just make us 17th best defense in the league, that is a massive improvement, because your offense ultimately is going to be the focal point of your franchise in basically how you're going to win games. If you can make your defense 17th to, let's just say, at most 11th best in the league, that's all I care about. when we look at what happened in that Atlanta Falcons year when they went to the Super Bowl, like I mentioned, they, statistically speaking, did not have a good defense, but you know what happened? They had a good enough defense to just make sure that the opponent didn't get into the end zone, and they made enough key stops for the offense, which was their focal point that year, to ride them into the playoffs, into the Super Bowl, and unfortunately they suffered that 28-3 tragic blowing of a lead, but I really do like what I see in terms of the Cowboys going out and getting a guy that I think will definitely improve the secondary. Now, another thing people were going to ask me was, well, what does this mean for our scheme? Now, when it comes to the scheme, Dan Quinn runs a 4-3. So the way I look at it, you're getting back to your technique of, okay, you have a 4-3, you're doubling down that you have a 4-3, and you have the personnel to run a 4-3, so you're going to be rolling with that from now on until there's a coaching change again. So I do like that. So now we know what we're going to do. So now I believe we can still tackle the draft like that. But I think another thing that people will mention as well, are we basically going to get a Chris Richard 2.0 in the liking of, okay, he has had experience being Seattle's defensive coordinator, and he's run certain packages that we might see Dan Quinn run here. Is that going to happen? I don't know. I don't think so. Because what's weird about when Chris Richard was the air quote play caller was you had him and Rod Marinelli sharing those duties of the play calling for the defensive side of the ball. But now you're going to have one guy that's going to have all the decisions on what to do on that side of the ball, and he's definitely an improvement. You know, again, I want to reiterate, do I think he is going to be better than Mike Nolan? Yes, I think he'll be better than Mike Nolan. Do I want to, I would like to see a top 10 defense, don't get me wrong, but we don't need that. All we need is a solid enough defense to get the job done. Anything better than 32nd is an improvement. Is he going to run similar schemes to that of Chris Richard when he was here? Maybe. I don't know. From what I've also seen, he likes to do, certain sets to where he looks like he's running a 3-4, but it's really just a 4-3 disguised. So that's another thing that I was looking at. But overall, I do think the Cowboys made the right call here. I think he's the best guy that you can get with reasonable experience, and it's somewhat of a retread because you're getting a former head coach, but this, that, and the third. But I like it. I have a really good feeling about this hire, but hopefully something good can come out of it. So I want to hear what your guys' thoughts are on the Dan Quinn hiring. If you want to put that in the comment section below. Just tell me how you feel about this hiring. Do you think we made the right call? Did we not make the right call? Just feel free to put that down below. And yeah, if you guys can, before you leave this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. And I'll catch you guys out in the next one. All right, guys, have a good one. Bye-bye.